And as the world of harness racing cheers on Southwind Amazon, off the turn with the lead, here he comes, front and center, stand alone, Southwind Amazon, to Goshen you go, wins by 3. Natus Filu second, Hot Rod Ryan third, 154.
And with a burst of speed, it was Southwind Amazon coming from off the pace at Northfield Park. Thanks so much to track announcer Kenny Livengood for painting the word picture for us. Southwind Amazon became the winningest horse in harness racing history by authoring his 138th victory. And the man who is in the sulky is the same young man who's making quite a name for himself here at the Meadowlands. We welcome to the In the Sulky set, Justin Irvine. Justin, thanks for spending a few minutes with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave.
Southwind Amazon, this is really a remarkable story because, I mean, he's 14 years old, and up until yesterday, you were only 22, so you were pretty close in age.
Yeah, yep, he's been racing a long time. A lot of his starts have been at Northfield, right where I grew up at, so he's a true war horse.
You know, and how can a horse like that still be so fresh and so good at this stage of his life?
I think just the conditioning program, like Paul Holzman, he's got him. He does a phenomenal job there at Northfield, and I don't know how he does it, but the horse just seemed to come back every year, and he just slowly chip away, and it was always in the opens. Like, he never did it any easier. So,
yeah. You know, he's the kind of horse who could probably go past this year, couldn't he?
Yeah, yep.
Southwind Amazon, the winningest horse in harness racing history, and Justin Irvine was the one who was in the sulky that night. Now, you know, Justin, let's talk a little bit about your current life at the Meadowlands and how things have come so quickly for you. What made the decision for you to come here to the Mile Oval?
Just the guys at Northfield, they kind of pushed me. You know, Ronnie Wren and Aaron Merriman, they top 2 guys there every year. Ronnie come out here and he won a Breeders' Crown, and by no means is it an easy feat, but he told me, he's like, you know, I think it's a good shot. You know, you don't really drive a lot on a mile or any bigger tracks and a half, and if you want to get some exposure and get some experience, I think it'd be a great spot to try it for the winter.
So Wren and Merriman, basically your 2 biggest foes on the track, they're the ones who gave you this great advice. Do they ever give you driving advice? Because after all, the 3 of you are in the same race all the time, vying for that first place check.
Yeah, I mean, they want to see the young generation, like, they want to see them be good. They want to see the future of the sport progress, and they want to see like a bright future for all of us. They, you know, as competitive as it is, we're all friends. We all get along. You know, maybe not after a certain race, but that you know, that certainly goes away after a couple minutes. I think they've been a tremendous help. Everybody there has, not just Ronnie and Aaron. Everybody.
No, that's really great to hear. It's a great community, harness racing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, let's talk a little bit about how you got here with a graphic that I call "Just in Case You Didn't Know." First and foremost, your dad Don. Well, he's got over 7,600 career wins and was the longtime leading driver at Hoosier Park, and he won quite a few races at Northfield as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a mainstay there for the longest time. He traveled around a little bit, but between Northfield when he was younger and then once he had me a lot in Hoosier Park, he raced. He's just been, you know, pretty good his entire life, really.
And your mom is also in the game as well.
Yeah, she's always been a caretaker, and she's been a big part of, you know, my dad's success, and I would say my success, because she's just always been supportive of me and my dad.
Now, your brother Brad, he has over 1,000 wins as a driver and over 660 as a trainer, but I think by the end of next year, you're probably going to be ahead of him. Are you going to kind of remind him of that how soon it's going to be before you have more wins than he does?
Yeah, I'd probably tell him that it took him 35 years, and hopefully it only takes me a couple, but yeah, it'd be kind of cool to get to that milestone, as you know, hopefully in the near future.
What was it that your mom and dad instilled in you that made you want to be a harness racer?
I would say it was my dad just taking me to the barn. I don't know if my mom really wanted me to drive horses, but once she saw how passionate I was about it, she started to accept that maybe that was the right path for me, and they just wanted to support me as much as they could.
How early did you start?
Oh, I was pretty much born in the barn. I grew up around horses my whole life.
Well, you know, I read something. When did you win your first race? When you were in your early teens? Is that right?
Yeah, I drove a matinee at the Goshen Fair. Actually, it was for Mark Ford, and I was 14 years old then, yeah.
Wow, Goshen Fair, 14 years old. I bet the race caller was pretty good that day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, though I think that I probably called that race. I was kidding around with Jessica the other night about that. But, we want to take a little bit of a look at the highlight reel for Justin Irvine here at the Meadowlands. And first and foremost, we're going to talk about a horse and take a look at a horse who you have a real strong connection to. It's a horse by the name of National Sport. Believe it or not, Justin used to train this horse, and you end up driving him here at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, he's just been a really cool horse to be around. When I had him, he was racing in Miami Valley a lot, and like I said, I did well with him when I had him, and just to be able to reconnect with him and drive him for Bill, it was really fun.
Did you find that he still was the, for lack of a better term, the same horse? Like was he rigged differently? Did he feel any different? What was different about National Sport than from when you had him?
Probably just his age. I think his speed kind of slowed down a little bit, but he's still, he doesn't steer the greatest and he doesn't try the hardest, but that's how he always was. He's pretty much the same horse. He's just not as good as he used to be, but age catches up with him eventually.
Age catches up with all of us, but you'll find out someday. Last night, by the way, was Justin's 23rd birthday, so happy birthday to you. You celebrated with a victory with Selena's Choice. I want to ask you a little bit about styles of racing. At Northfield, obviously, half-mile track, a lot of the races are won wire to wire, from box to wire, as we like to say. Selena's Choice came from off the pace. Has there been much of an adjustment for you going from the half-mile track in Cleveland to the mile oval in East Rutherford?
Yeah, I think so. The racing here on the mile, it slows down a lot, as kind of crazy as that seems, because the speed is a lot different. You go a lot faster. But it slows down because on a half-mile track, post position's a big factor on where you get away and how you finish usually, and it takes a really good horse to come from off the pace at Northfield. Whereas here, if the race sets up, or the wind, I've noticed, is a huge factor on how the races play, and the weather, you can pretty much win from anywhere.
Let's talk a little bit about a horse who won on the front end for you here at the Meadowlands. We're talking about Ice House, who gives his competition the cold shoulder. You went wire to wire with this one, didn't you?
Yeah, Zach Gray, he put me down on a couple horses last weekend, and he says that he watches me drive at Northfield, so he wanted to give me a shot. And he told me this horse has really good gate speed, so I figured I'd let him leave out of there well. And, nobody really challenged him, so he got away kind of soft. And he just, in against that kind of horses, I think he's probably one of the better ones.
Do you feel like early on in your Meadowlands career that, you're driving better horses than you anticipated you would be?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And are you going to be driving here more than just Thursdays and Fridays? Are you going to try to do all three, or what's your schedule?
Yeah, right now we race at Northfield. We race Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I am going to probably drop Saturdays, as I have the last 2 weekends, to come here Fridays and Saturdays, hopefully carry that on through February, and then see how it goes.
So you're going to race here twice a week?
Yes.
And at Northfield twice a week?
3 times a week. Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You got anywhere else you're going to go?
No, home.
All right. So you're going to be racing 5 times a week, twice here and 3 times back home in Cleveland. So
yes.
An awful lot of mileage being put on the car, isn't there?
Yeah, yep.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you, because you're one of the young guys who is obviously a big player in the sport. In fact, this young man is second in the standings at Northfield to perennial kingpin Aaron Merriman there. So you're driving some serious horses there. What about the future of harness racing? I'm 40 years older than you, and I've seen the landscape for an awful lot of time, and I've seen it kind of continue to erode away, but now I see all kinds of a rebirth in many of the regions. How do you feel about the future of harness racing?
I'm optimistic. I think, you look at places like Kentucky, their program just keeps getting better. Ohio, New York just added more money to their stakes programs. New Jersey's, other than Freehold closing down, it seems like their stakes programs are, up there with the top states in the country. And I'm optimistic that it stays that way and continues to grow with help of the government and everything. I think harness racing has a foreseeable future just because it has such a big impact on our economy. As much as people don't want to realize it, it employs a lot of people. It brings a lot of people, puts a lot of food on people's tables. It's just, it's a great business, and I hope that it lasts for as long as I'm alive.
Well, that would be great, because if it lasts as long as you're alive, it'll certainly last as long as I'm alive as well. Justin Irvine, thanks so much for spending a few minutes with us tonight on In the Sulky, and continued success here at the Meadowlands and Northfield and everywhere else you race in 2024 and, of course, beyond.
Yep. Thank you, Dave.
That's Justin Irvine. In about 60 seconds, we'll bring Jessica Otten here. We'll talk about tonight's featured action right after these messages.